In this video, you will learn how to use RGuroo to find the probability in a binomial distribution. Let's begin. We will start with a basic example from Hawk's Learning. The question says, assume the random variable x has a binomial distribution with a given probability of obtaining success. Find the probability given the number of trials and the probability of obtaining a success. Round your answer to 4 decimal places. So we want to find the probability that the value of the random variable is 6, given that there are 10 trials and that the probability of success is 1/2. So how do we do this in RGuroo? So as always, you will have to sign into RGuroo and log in. So once you're logged in, then you have this accordion menu. So you have data, plots, analytics, and then you have probability simulation. So that's what we're going to click on, probability simulation. Below that, we're going to click on the probability tab and we're going to click on probability calculator. So remember, binomial distributions are a discrete distribution. So we're going to click on discrete. Okay. Now there are other options here, as you can see, but the default setting for this discrete distribution probability calculator is binomial. So you don't need to change this field. Okay. So let's look at the screen and read what it wants. It wants the number of trials and the probability of success. So let's go back here. Remember, n is the number of trials and p is the probability of success. So I'm going to put 10 in here for the number of trials and 0.5 for the probability of success. So let's go ahead and type that in. All right. So the only piece of information in this question that I've not used yet is the x equals 6. So where do you think that might go? Well, it might go down here, and it goes right here next to 6, right? So we want to find the probability that x is what? X is exactly equal to 6. So if you look at this drop-down menu, let's read the options. We have equal, below, above, between, and outside. So which of these equations or inequalities, which of these do I want for my problem? Well, in this problem, it says equals 6. So I need to select the equal option and then type in 6. So now I have given RGuroo all the information it needs. I've told it that I want a binomial distribution, 10 trials, the probability of success is 0.5, and I want to know the probability that exactly 6 of these 10 trials result in a success. So now that I've given all the information, right, now I can hit this I button and it tells me that about 20.5%, the probability, is about 20.5%. So again, the probability that in 10 trials, exactly 6 of them result in a success, if the probability of success is 0.5 or 1/2, is about 20.5%. So let's practice putting this value into Hawk's. So notice that the directions in Hawk's ask us to round to 4 decimal places, while here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places. So we're either going to leave it as 0.2050 or we're going to round it up to 0.2051. Since this last digit is an 8, we need to round this 0 to a 1. So I'm going to type in 0.2051 and hit submit, and that is correct. So if you need a refresher on rounding rules, feel free to watch that video that I have created. So let's say we have an almost identical problem, but this time instead of x equals 6, it says x less than 6. So how could I use RGuroo to do a problem like this? Well, what I can do is I can click on this drop-down menu where it says equal, and I can select a different option. So since we want x less than 6, I'm going to select below 6. Notice when I change this option, it automatically changes or deletes this field. So you're going to have to retype in your number, which is 6. So then the other thing I want to point out to you, I love this feature, is if I can click on this little box, do you see that? And it's going to give me a graph. So let's see what happens when I hit the I button. This shows that I'm actually including 6. But wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, right? What did I want? What I wanted was x is strictly less than 6. So this means I don't want to include x in my endpoint, do I? Well, how can we fix that? Well, if you go back to the basics, do you see this cute little box right next to the 6? This says include the value. So if I just want numbers below 6, then I have to uncheck this value, uncheck this little box, right? And then hit the button again. When I do that, notice, right, well, what are the values that are strictly less than 6? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay? And also, right, it shows you right here, probability that x is less than 6. So it seems like a tiny little thing, but this tiny little box right here is basically the difference between a correct answer and an incorrect answer if you're working with inequality. So be very vigilant about that and pay attention to that value. Okay? Okay, so let's do a similar problem. This time we want to find what is the probability that our random variable is larger than 6, with again the same number of trials and the same probability of success. So here's my screen. This time I'm going to click above 6. Notice when I change this, as soon as I change my option, this little box here automatically becomes checked again. So let's just preview and see what we get. Okay, so again, it's automatically checked. So I want greater than 6, but this is giving me 6 and above. So this is actually giving me greater than or equal to 6. So what I have to do is I have to go back here and uncheck that little box. Now this is the greater than symbol, not the greater than or equal to symbol. So let's hit it again, right? And so again, use this graph to make sure that you're actually capturing the values that you mean to capture, right? If I have x is greater than 6, I want 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't want to include 6 in my solutions. Okay, so now again we have almost the same problem, but now it says x is less than or equal to 6. So how would we do this in RGuroo? So again, we come back to our menu, okay? We want less than or equal to 6, so we're going to hit below, and then we have to retype 6, okay? And we hit our little I button, okay? So look right here, you can see it says the probability that x is less than or equal to 6, right? Because again, if you go back to the basics menu, as soon as you change this option, this little box is going to be automatically checked, and that box what it's doing is it's including that endpoint. Okay, so again, we hit preview. We can see here it says x is less than or equal to 6, which is what I meant to have. And again, you can see that 6 is being included, right? The values that are less than or equal to 6 are 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0, and they're all shaded. Okay, so similarly, what if I want to find the probability that my random variable is larger than or equal to, greater than or equal to 6? So again, I go back to my menu. This time I click on above, right? And so we have above 6, and we preview it. Okay, so look right here, right? It says the probability that x is greater than or equal to 6. And I'm shading 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is what I was trying to capture. So this is the correct probability right here, 0.377. Okay, so what if I have something where x is sandwiched between two numbers? So in other words, I want to know what is the probability that I have between 2 and 6 successes in this binomial distribution. So again, I'm going back to my menu. This time I'm going to click on the between button, and I'm going to type in 2 and 6, and then let's see what happens. Okay, so let's look at this inequality that's being generated for us, right? It says the probability that 2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 6, right? And visually speaking, that matches perfectly what was in my problem, okay? So this is perfect because it included the endpoints of 2 and 6, which is exactly what I wanted. But let's say I have something like this where I'm excluding those endpoints. So 2 is less than x is less than 6. There's no equal to sign there. So in other words, I only want to capture the values of 3, 4, and 5. So how can we do that? Well, we have to go back to our menu. We have between 2 and 6. And this time what we're going to do is we're just going to uncheck those little boxes. We're going to deselect them. And then I go ahead and preview it and see here, right? It says the probability that 2 is less than x is less than 6. So it's excluding those end values of 2 and 6, right? It's just capturing the ones that are in between 2 and 6, which are 3, 4, and 5. What if I have something like this where it's kind of mixed, right? Where I want to include the 2 as an endpoint, but I don't want to include the 6. How could I do that? Well, again, we have to go back to RGuroo, right? Between 2 and 6. So again, we want to include the 2. So I'm just going to check the box next to the 2, but not the 6. And I hit this little I. Again, if you look at this inequality, it is exactly the same as the inequality that I'm being given here. Okay, and again, I'm including 2, as you can see, because 2 is shaded. 3, 4, and 5 are shaded, but 6 is not shaded. It's not being included. Okay, so what if I wanted to do something almost the same except for switched? In other words, I want to exclude the 2 endpoint, but include 6. What would I do then? Well, Again, I go back to my menu. This time I want to exclude 2 and include 6, so I deselect the box next to 2, select the box next to 6, and there we go. Right, so now we have 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, if I look at this compound inequality here, 2 is less than x is less than or equal to 6. It is exactly what I see in my problem right there.